Welcome back to the Crypto World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is fastly approaching a bottom for this pullback, but we still need to be paying attention to some of these other important levels on the chart. We're also still forming these brand new Bitcoin patterns on the chart right now, and later in the video, I'll be taking a look at the Bitcoin funding rates because right now there's something very interesting happening, and on top of that, the price action that we're currently seeing is extremely similar to this price action that we saw that preceded a huge move to the upside. So definitely make sure you're watching this video all the way to the end so that you're not missing out on any of this important information. And just before we jump into it, make sure to drop a like on the video down below. And if you're new to the channel, you might as well subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. But with all of that out of the way, let's get straight to what this video is about. It's right here on the Bitcoin US dollar chart on the 4-hour time frame. And as you can see here, since yesterday, Bitcoin has seen another perfect bounce along this 130 exponential moving average. And right now that's coming in at around $62,500 US dollars per Bitcoin. So that is the immediate level of support for Bitcoin moving forward. And anything below that, if we do start breaking below that moving average, then I would be looking towards 60,000, and anything below that, 58,000. Those are the main support levels that I'm looking at for Bitcoin. But obviously, if Bitcoin continues to hold above this exponential moving average, then those lower support levels do not come into play. But if you're looking in the price oscillators right now in the RSI and the MACD, they are showing signs that we are approaching a bottom very soon. It could even come within the next day or so, because if you're simply looking at the levels that we're seeing right now in the RSI for Bitcoin on the 4-hour chart, just placing the horizontal line right there, as you can see, all of these other pullbacks that Bitcoin has had in the past has basically pulled back to this exact line of support, sometimes a little bit higher and sometimes a little bit lower, but basically around this same line of support, which is coming in at around 37 to 38 on the 4-hour RSI for Bitcoin. And as you can see here, the RSI has pulled back perfectly to that exact level so far. So any lower would basically give us an even better buying opportunity that we did not even see all of these other times on the charts. Also looking in the 4-hour MACD, we are still trending to the downside, but looking in the histogram, this is trending to the upside, showing us that a bullish cross is on the way, probably within the next day or so, either today or tomorrow. Mainly if Bitcoin holds this level of support, then that is going to give us a bullish cross within the next 1 day or so. But of course, if Bitcoin fails to hold this immediate level of support, coming in at around 62K to 62,500 US dollars, then in that case, a dip down towards 60,000 would put off that bullish cross for a couple more days in the MACD. But once again, a move like that in Bitcoin down to these lower support levels would also bring the RSI down towards oversold territories, giving us an even better buying opportunity. Obviously, that doesn't have to happen, but I'm just letting you know that a buying opportunity is on the way, at least as far as my Bitcoin strategy goes. Obviously, that's not financial advice, and we're probably within 1 to 2 days of a decent bounce sometime soon. Whether it's at these levels or if we have one more dip to the downside, then it would become very likely that we'll see the bounce then. And preferably for the bulls out there, if Bitcoin can hold above this exponential moving average, that would help out Bitcoin in continuing to form this cup and handle pattern on the 6-hour charts for Bitcoin. And for the beginners out there, this pattern is a bullish pattern, but I want to make it clear this is not confirmed. What we need to see for Bitcoin to actually confirm this pattern is basically a move back up towards this neckline, coming in at around 69,000 US dollars per Bitcoin, which is the all-time high currently. And so basically, we really need to hold above the current levels of support that I just mentioned in order to play out this bullish pattern, because if we don't, even if we start dipping back towards 60,000, then in that case, that would basically invalidate this cup and handle pattern. And now zooming out to the daily Bitcoin chart, taking a look at this bearish divergence. At the time of filming this video, this is still playing out. I mentioned this on the channel over the past 2 days. And for the beginners out there, this basically means that Bitcoin is losing a little bit of bullish momentum in the shorter term, which is exactly what we have been seeing over the past few days. We've had that short-term pullback as expected. But keep in mind, all of this is in the shorter term. And when you're looking at the Bitcoin funding rates right now, this short-term pullback has definitely done its job. Because even just a few days ago, when Bitcoin was sitting at around the all-time high, the funding rates were incredibly positive, meaning that it's very expensive to maintain a long position, which is technically a bearish sign for Bitcoin. But right now, with the recent pullback, that's basically reset all of these funding rates. And so right now, the majority of the Bitcoin funding rates are sitting at their neutral values, with the exception of a couple of these stablecoin margin contracts that are only slightly higher than the neutral values. So what does this mean for Bitcoin? Well, it means that we now have more room to the upside that we did not have a few days ago. And that's exactly why we need to see short-term pullbacks along an uptrend, because if we have an uptrend with no pullbacks at all, then the entire trend will fizzle out a lot faster and we'll see a far more severe crash to the downside than what we're seeing right now. And now zooming all the way out to the weekly charts for Bitcoin, this is really looking at the big picture, and these white horizontal lines that I've got on the chart right now are basically previous all-time high levels levels. For example, looking at this first line just here, this is the 2013 bull market top coming in at around 1,200 US dollars per Bitcoin. And Bitcoin went over 3 years before we finally recovered back up towards the all-time high again, which at that point we were around halfway through the 2017 bull market. And zooming into the price action that we saw during the 2017 bull market as we were breaking into a new all-time high, what we saw here was the Bitcoin price ran up to the previous all-time high, and we briefly broke into a brand new all-time high before seeing a further correction to the downside. And overall, we stayed at around that all-time high level for about 8 weeks before we finally broke into a new all-time high with follow through to the upside. So just keep that in mind. We had a pullback to the downside and a lot of sideways price action for just about 2 months before we finally broke out to the upside. And now zooming back out again and going over to the next time round, which was of course the all-time high that we set back at the end of the 2017 bull market at around 20,000 US dollars per Bitcoin. And zooming into the point where we finally broke above that all-time high, which was at the end of last year, the end of 2020. And what we can see here in this price action is the fact that Bitcoin was approaching that all-time high, but we ran into major resistance at that level and we stayed just below the all-time high for around 4 weeks of mostly sideways price action and some pullbacks along the way before we finally saw a huge breakout to the upside. And if you're looking at the current Bitcoin price action right now, we are seeing extremely similar signs. We've had a move to the upside approaching the previous all-time high, which of course was at that $65,000 top that we set back in April this year. And so far we've spent around 4 weeks consolidating just below the previous all-time high level with no weekly candle close above that 65K level. So all of this price action that we've seen over the past few weeks, we have seen almost this exact same thing over the years in Bitcoin. And if you simply look at what happens next after we finally broke above these white lines on the chart, as you can see, we saw huge bullish moves to the upside. And when Bitcoin finally experiences the breakout above that old $65,000 all-time high with a weekly candle close above 65K, then that could possibly begin the next major move to the upside, sending Bitcoin above 100,000 US dollars per Bitcoin. So if you're looking at the shorter term on the 4-hour chart, for example, whether Bitcoin holds this immediate line of support or even dips down towards 60,000 or even dips down towards 58,000, on the weekly Bitcoin chart, that has no influence on the weekly chart at all. So every once in a while, it's very important to zoom out and look at the big picture. And on the big picture, we are clearly still very bullish for Bitcoin moving forward. And for those of you that want to stay up to date at all times in these markets with real-time updates, definitely make sure to follow me over on my Twitter. The link to my official Twitter account is in the description down below. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed or got something valuable out of this video, make sure to leave a like down below. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. I really appreciate all of your support in the channel at the moment. I can't thank you guys enough. And for the new viewers on the channel, before you click off, make sure you're checking out one of these uploads if you haven't already. I've got a trading tutorial video showing you how I trade Bitcoin over on Bybit, and I've got a passive income video showing you how I earn passive income every day on my crypto holdings. But once again, that is everything that I have to say for this video. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.